When a brand retros something and brings it back for the first time, at least in this specific colorway, are you supposed to be grateful or upset that they continue to ruin a classic? Hey, what's good guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on these, what were once bad boys. Now they're just kind of hot garbage. And it really pains me to say that. I will explain. But this, my friends, is the Jordan Jumpman Pro. It is an original colorway, the last original colorway to actually release as a retro. So that's where I'm a little confused with my own love for the shoe or for the product, because it's like, should I just be happy or should I ask for more? Basically, the history of the shoe is pretty like muddled, just because when these originally released, nobody really knew what the hell they were. It was just the first Jordan shoe that was not an Air Jordan. And by an Air Jordan, I mean not part of the flagship line. And what I mean by not part of the flagship line is that it wasn't one of the numbers. So it wasn't a 1, a 2, 3, etc. These basically dropped not simultaneously, but right after the Air Jordan 12. And there was rumors at the time that this was a scrapped version of the 12. MG didn't love the shoe, but he did like some parts of it, so they carried over certain things to the 12. I don't know if that's true or not. It was just a rumor back in the day. Again, this is pre-internet.
So you're saying this is the shoe that paved the way for signature athletes to have takedown models?
That was the intent of the shoe, like the original intent. So that's where, when you start to talk about rumor, was it that MJ didn't like it, or was it that this was meant for somebody else? This colorway is that.
I'm listening.
So these were actually meant and worn for Kevin Garnett, believe it or not. They were actually designed by a legend, one of my favorite Nike designers ever.
Peter Moore?
No.
Tinker Hatfield?
No. Man, she's going through the good ones though.
The guy who did the Kobe's?
Thank you. His name is Eric Avar. Super underrated, in my opinion. Hence, she knows Peter Moore. He hasn't designed an Air Jordan since the 2, but that's okay. She knew who Tinker was, so we'll give her credit.
You love me. You really love me.
Anyways, these guys right here, again, released right around the same time as the Air Jordan 12. If you don't believe me, we've got one of my favorite magazines of all time, the first issue of the magazine. And this, at the time, was a whole catalog featuring like the history of Nike basketball products and stuff up until that point. But anyways, you can see right here, we got the Air Jordan 12, and then right afterwards, the Jumpman Pro. And then not too long after that, you can see they actually dropped the red one. Look at this though, this is some really cool shit. This is actually a sample of the original shoe, where they actually outlined the Jumpman in, I can't tell if that's white or silver, but either way, this is the original. And as you can see, it's actually silver and not red with an outline. So pretty cool. And since we're here, look at this. This was their upcoming lineup of stuff that we could anticipate for the upcoming season and everything. We got the Tim Duncans right here. These could use a proper retro. I'm just letting you guys know right now. These were tanks, but they're awesome. We got the T-Bugs right here. You know who wore those? Good old UTEP two-step himself, Tim Hardaway. Also, that's a great price. An all-time favorite of mine, the Pippen 2s. I really wish that these would come back as well. I have a pair. Did you guys want a video on these? Let me know. Turning the page, we got some really cool team models and stuff like that, just regular up-tempos and things like that. I think that these are dope. Cynthia Cooper shoe, that's pretty sick. These I really wanted so bad. It had zoom in the forefoot and a 3/4 max air unit, dude. It was so sick. And look at that, all that for $130. And my favorite, this was the debut of the Air Jordan 14. You can see that these are also samples, so they're not exactly what released. Same thing over here. We got the Eddie Jones, the Pro Quicks, and the Pro Strongs for Vin Baker. They were advertising these shoes, but these two colorways ended up being a PE only. What a little bitch! And we got the Jordan 13s. That was also really cool, just having the low tops coming out, and what was the other playoffs, even though they're now called Breads. But anyways, this guy right here is the man behind this shoe. He's also behind all of these shoes. And this guy right here is actually on Instagram right now. He designed some of my other favorites. His name is Aaron Cooper. So if you wanted to check out his stuff on Instagram, go check him out. Now anyways, as far as this shoe is concerned, it's a shell of the original, which is really unfortunate. I really wish that they would treat this shoe right, just because this was the first of what is now considered to be the Jordan brand. Like, this is literally the original shoe. And I'm, again, not talking about the flagships. I know that there were models before that, but without other shoes and other products, products, there is no brand. You can't do a brand based off of one shoe a year. Now, these bad boys right here are the actual originals, as are these. This is my original pair, the ones that I actually saved up for. Is my first shoe that I bought myself. Since it's applicable here, I can actually show you the differences between the two. So these changes, some of them I don't mind. I don't think that it's a big deal. Some of them though are just kind of like sacrilegious. So you can see that the colors are a little bit dingy on the original. They were really, really dark blue though, like a really deep navy. You can see that the traction pods are black now instead of white. Same thing with that little Jumpman poking through. That is actually one of my favorite things on the original. I loved it here and on the Air Jordan 12. Now another change, this time major in my opinion, is actually on the outsole or in between the outsole and the midsole. The original was this guy right here, so it featured the same exact shank plate as the Air Jordan 12, which means that it's carbon fiber. It's not the full length version that you saw on the previous year's model, which was the Air Jordan 11, but still it was just as nice. And this guy right here, this is just straight plastic with a checkerboard print glued onto it. It is a huge slap in the face, not just to the shoe, but to customers. Now the midsole is Phylon on both pairs, so they got that right. However, inside the shoe is actually supposed to be this glorious thing right here. This is a full-length Zoom Air unit. It is fantastic, or at least it was. And yes, they still use this in the Air Jordan 12 retros and stuff like that, which I appreciate. But in this guy right here, they actually switched things up. So in the forefoot, all you got is that. That's it. It's still Zoom Air, but it's that version of it. It's basically what you see in an Air Jordan 13 and now in an Air Jordan 14, even though that was not the original 14's Air unit. But hey, we can talk about that some other time. And then in the heel, you would think they'd be nice and just put one of these in there too. That way it's still technically heel and forefoot Zoom Air, but no. They actually removed all of the tech for these new versions. I don't know why, because this version right here that I also blasted, this had me so stoked because they redid the entire shoe so that it looks so similar to the original. I was like, man, that is awesome. And then I got them in and I wanted to because they were awful. But in the heel of these guys is actually an additional like pod of foam, and I can't actually remember what the type of foam is, but basically it's a dual density setup. So you got Phylon, and then on that pod section you have something else, and normally that's okay as long as that podded foam is comfortable, which in this case it's not. It's hard as a rock. And then on top of that, it's just a complete downgrade from what the actual original product was. Now the overall shape and look, a little bit off and everything compared to the original right here. I don't know how well, you just gotta have to trust me on that one. But either way, they switched up the upper quite a bit on these things. So on the original, it's all leather everything, and it's nice leather. It's super soft, especially when it's old like this and broken in. But this one right here, it is particle board leather, and they have the audacity to charge you more than the original product ever cost. Wow. So again, I'm kind of like torn. It's like, dude, I love that these are back, especially in this colorway. We had a close version, but the midsole right here is actually painted gray with black splatter, and you think that I would have liked that, but I wanted these first. So there are a few other little changes between the upper on these guys, some good, some bad, and then some that really don't matter. So one of those changes is actually on the tongue right here. You got a full mesh tongue, which is super comfortable. I love this tongue, the original one. The original one though had a white leather patch with the blue kind of like circle emblem, and then the white Jumpman inside, whereas the retro version has full synthetic panel, not an actual leather panel, and then it's all navy blue. The inner circle with the logo though has been the same. The lining behind the tongue is different. We've got a matching liner that's around the rest of the shoe. That to me is not a big deal. If anything, I think that that's a better thing. The embroidery or stitching of the logos is awesome on these new ones. Like I just absolutely love what they could do with embroidery and stitching nowadays. Everything is digital. So this guy right here has a big old booty and a butt crack and stuff. Some people think that that means that they're fakes. It's actually not true. It just means that they're old. Another thing that's a little bit different is just the font that's on the back of the pull tabs. This is very similar to the Air Jordan 12, but instead of saying Jordan quality products inspired by the greatest player ever, it says Jumpman Pro on there, just letting you know what the shoe model was. And again, the fonts are a little bit different, like they're bold on the new one, and the embroidery I think looks actually really good on both, but it looks even better on the new one. So there's again another change that I don't mind. Something that's actually really a cool fun fact is actually the back panels right here, where they tried to mimic the look and everything, where this guy is a synthetic nubuck and it's in navy blue with a white Jumpman on there, where they got the synthetic leather panel instead of nubuck, but they actually put on the little circle emblem or the jewel logo. And the cool little fun fact, at least if I'm remembering correctly, was that the rear of the shoe, this little Jumpman emblem right there that's in that little jewel logo that you do see on all of the retros was only on the black and red original colorway. I believe the original black and royals, the white and navies obviously, were done just like this with the stitch Jumpman. It's the white, black, and gold that's the one that I cannot remember. I'm pretty sure though that the originals were just a stitch logo and not the little jewel emblem right there. And this originally was silver, by the way. It's now yellow.
Wow.
Last but not least, the other change obviously is this little top eyelet. The originals were actually metal, just like the Air Jordan 12s. The new ones, plastic, and they make them look like metal. Just in case you're curious, the insole is this guy right here, Durapontex. It's a thing.
Told you.
I remembered after you had said it. Okay, like I said in that video, there's so much in here that it's hard to remember. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, they do fit true to size, so if you are interested in grabbing a pair, go true to size. You should be good to go. The leather, again, super stiff. The midsole, super stiff. The cushion, meh. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's 4-foot Zoom Air, but that's it. But with all that being said, sound off below and let us know what you think about these, the Jordan Jumpman Pro, in the comment section. Obviously, you new guys to the sneaker game are gonna be like, those are trash. But for some of us older guys where this was like a hot ticket item back in 1998, let us know your memories on everything down below in the comment section. Did you own a pair? Which of the 4 original colorways did you own? But sound off below, let us know. Thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate you guys. We will catch you on the next one. So until then, have a good one.